and welcome everyone to our Data Science Festival. So we are excited to present before you our 8th festival in a row, that is Oktoberfest. And I'm your host, Rutuja. So I currently live and work in Germany. So technically, this is my 2nd Oktoberfest. And I thank you all for coming here and creating such a thriving community. So I would request you at this point to please put your phones on silent. And also in your bag, you can find a schedule and the location of the venue to guide you to the different sessions. And if you need any assistance, then we also have volunteers with the staff t-shirt. You can always reach out to them. Also, we have water at the back, which is free. You can help yourself. And this is a celebration for the community, so all the sessions will be recorded. So if you see that a room is full, then please make your way to some other room. We also have other exciting sessions lined up. Also, this will be recorded, so you will be able to watch it later in case you miss any of the session. And then this time, we are also serving hot food, so please be kind with your fellow members in the queue and also help yourself regarding the vegan, vegetarian, and the gluten-free options which you have signed up. And then, of course, this event is free, so it would not be possible with the help of our sponsors. So at this point, I would like to present the list of the sponsors. It's Data Idols, Timestender, Starbust, Bumble, Monzo, Hymans Robertson, Mars Pet Care, Trade Desk, BSI, Direct Line Group, Marks and Spencer, dunnhumby, Clio, Create Communities, and finally Code Node for presenting us with a good location. We also have a pint of beer in us, so there is a beer garden. You can help yourself with that. Also, there is a booklet in your bag which will tell you about the 2 exciting competitions that we are running, so please sign up for that as well. Just a side note, there is a session at 3:15, but unfortunately that is cancelled so that you have a note beforehand. So without wasting any further time, so let us begin with our first session. It is on the topic of using data science to support mental health by DataKind UK. So we have 2 amazing speakers with us, Robbie and Zara. So Robbie is a data scientist who has more than 4 years of experience across telecommunications, CGPS, and financial services. Currently, he's working as a volunteer at the data science support charity DataKind UK. Zara is a statistician and data scientist who has a focus on regression. She has been with the DataKind UK for over 2 years. And so please give a round of applause for our speakers, Robbie and Zara.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for turning up at our talk at this time of morning. Interestingly, the first time slot was allocated to us. My name is Zara, as our colleague kindly introduced. And my colleague, Robbie. We are volunteers at DataKind. We've been volunteering with them for about 4 years. It's been a great collaboration with them. And today I'm going to introduce to you what DataKind does and showcase of one of the very interesting and useful projects they worked on with mental health charity Chasing the Stigma, one of the many interesting projects they've worked on. So who is DataKind? What do they do? And whether you can become part of DataKind. And showcasing, as I said, project they work on with mental health charity Chasing the Stigma. And if and whether you can be part of DataKind UK, and if you can join us. DataKind charity is an organization that builds data science capacity within the charity and social enterprises and public enterprises. These are some of the partners that DataKind UK has had the privilege of working with. Really great charities like Age UK, Citizen Advice, one of the ones that pop to me, The Mind, or Princess Trust. DataKind UK works with national and umbrella bodies to local hospices and food banks. So it works across the social sector. These are pictures. We call them survivors' photos. They're usually taken at the end of a weekend dive. Very happy, smiley faces. Looks like their codes have all run successfully and they produce really insightful results. Yes, most of the people you see in the pictures are volunteers, and I would say friends of DataKind, like myself. Obviously, with COVID happening and lockdowns, DataKind UK did not stop. So the picture on the bottom right is a screenshot of volunteers working on a data dive in the weekend, because we couldn't actually be present together. But yes, I had privilege of doing an online dive with them through COVID lockdowns, and the whole project was successfully conducted and communicated via volunteers that came together, didn't know each other before, but collaborated really well using Slack channels. So what do we actually do? What does DataKind UK actually do? DataKind UK has been operating since 2013. It has worked with volunteers to provide free expert specialist data advice to charities and local enterprises and alike. So it does this using by bringing data scientists and data analysts together and helping charity organizations, analyzing their data and supporting them with any data analytics needs they might have. It also brings together a community of data scientists and data specialists working in the social sector, so they can provide each other advice and support. It also offers one-off advice and support to charities and non-profit organizations. So and thus matches them with support networks that they might need. So how does DataKind UK do this? Data support. DataKind UK can offer light touch support that would be a one-off consultation with the non-profit charity organization. Different organization obviously would be at different data literacy levels. Some organization might not know how to store their data, how valuable their data is, whether they can make any use of their data, whether it would be sufficient to support their ambitions and vision and mission. So DataKind UK can offer consultation and one-on-one support on that basis. They also do data dive projects, which I showed you pictures of survivors of it earlier. So these are weekend projects completed by complete volunteers, data analysts, data scientists. So so basically, charity companies, non-profits would go to DataKind with their data or with their project, and DataKind UK would spend some time with them for a couple of months prior to beginning to the actual dive, to the actual analysis of the project, to understand their priorities, the concerns, to analyze, to clean their data, to see what data they actually have, what questions they want answering, and what questions they could be answering, perhaps supporting them, advising them with additional complementary data sets that they didn't know they could be using to make better sense of their data. So that's the data dive projects that they offer support with. Data core projects are longer term projects. So these are mainly done by, the majority of these are done by volunteers. Data core projects would be longer term projects, so volunteers would give up their time for perhaps about a year. These are people who would have full-time jobs but are interested to get involved with a charity organization and can commit weekends or few evenings for a long period of time, perhaps like about a year or more, and the outcome of a data core project will be a solid solution to the organization. Data Collective is a network of peers that work in the social sector, and they can. It's actually come about as a need of people working in the social sector to. Who want to collaborate and support each other and seek advice. So that's what Data Collective is. And well, obviously DataKind UK, being a data organization working with sensitive data, ethical use of data is cornerstone of what DataKind UK does, and there are regular workshops and meetings and check-ins to make sure that DataKind UK is using data and is advocating and making sure that charities are also using the data correctly. So it's been, yes, since 2013, DataKind UK has been around for 10 years, and it's provided social sector organizations with the support that they've needed using their data. They've partnered, during this time, they've partnered with 83 charities. They have worked on 100 different projects. They have worked with 2,200 volunteers, provided 3.8 million of pro bono support to non-profits, and more than 150 one-to-one data support meetings, 87 exploratory data science projects, and 21 DataCorp longer-term projects, and that they have created a useful data product for the company. So how can data science can actually help social causes? So different questions could be answered using data science in the social sector. For instance, understanding the clients. A question could be, what proportion of clients are non-native English speakers? Or to understand the needs of the needs and demand of the organization. For example, what are the areas in London of highest area of rough sleeping by different boroughs in London, or to evaluate the services. For example, does an intervention or a program would actually help improving school performance, or to improve operations? Is forecasting model would be actually useful in helping the company achieve their mission? So that's what DataKind does. And how did they manage to help Chasing the Stigma to use data science to support mental health services in the UK? Who is Chasing the Stigma? National mental health charity Chasing the Stigma wants everyone in the country to have mental health support to reduce suicide and to eradicate stigma around mental health. Chasing the Stigma runs Hub of Hope, their largest directory of mental health support and services across the UK. If you go on Hub of Hope, you would find that you get asked for your postcode and your local area, and you can choose what sort of mental health support. If so, you might need, for example, anxiety, depression, or some more serious things like bipolar, and they would provide a list of local places where you get where you can seek support. So they knew they had a great wealth of data, so they knew who, how many people, and on which locations are needing mental health support, and what those specific mental health supports are. So They knew, but the only thing that's done with their data so far was a heat map. So they came to DataKind UK with their data and asked for support because they knew that DataKind UK has a wealth of staff, data analysts and data scientists who could support them with the data and give them different perspective on what data they have and what they can do. So just a bit of trigger warning here that in the slides coming on, we're going to be talking about some mental health issues that are in the UK, prevalent, and if anyone feels sensitive about this topic, if they wish so, they may leave. So just a trigger warning that it's if anyone feels upset about different statistics, it's some of them obviously are not very ideal. But yes, I thought I'd let you know what might be. We're going to be showcasing some statistics on that. So to help chasing the stigma with the journey, data ambassadors who are project team leads, basically, data team leaders, liaised with Chasing the Stigma about 6 weeks to 8 weeks before the actual dive where volunteers came together. They looked at their data set, they cleansed their data, they spoke with Chasing the Stigma representative to understand their concern, to understand their data better. And they pinpointed specific questions, so to make sure that those questions could be answered, and the dive would be targeted and specific, and making sure that the data set can actually answer the questions that the charity has on the day. Yes, so the data set was cleansed and prepped before the dive, and the questions were documented and ready for the weekend to be analysed. So my colleague Robbie will take you through the technical slides and amazing visualizations that volunteers did in that data dive weekend. So I let Robbie.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Zara, for that great introduction. So, as you mentioned, data ambassadors went away and prepared the data in advance to try and make the dive as efficient as possible. What we ended up doing is having 3 key themes for the presentation. First one, who uses the Hub of Hope? So this is looking at what users are looking at, where they're using it, and how they're integrating with the solution. And the idea is also to investigate how they partner, how the Hub of Hope partners with existing charities and non-profits to try and extract value through what's called a referral website. So for those who use Google Analytics data, who might be familiar with the term, is essentially the original website where the link for the Hub of Hope was located. The second theme was how do they use the Hub of Hope? So now that we've identified how users are using it, it's where are they using it, when are they using it, what devices they're looking at, and additionally, are there any correlations between particular concerns? And then finally, how well is the Hub of Hope addressing the mental health needs of the country? Very, very abstract question. The previous 2 have a series of sub-questions to allow it to be really targeted on particular means, whilst this third element is completely open-ended, allowing our divers to extract and identify what they think that means and see if it can be represented in the data. So, methodologies applied. We had over 40 data divers being involved over the course of the weekend, so naturally they were taking part in a lot of different data science techniques. Due to the nature of the data we were dealing with being time series and geographical, most of the methodology we applied were time series forecasting and geographical plotting. However, this varies dive to dive, so you'll have other dives that specialize in clustering, regression, classification. So if you attend multiple dives, you'll generally cover a large portion of the data science ecosystem very quickly. So yeah, so one thing to note before we actually get into results, being able to visualize your data, obviously incredibly critical day-to-day life. However, in data dives, it has a different meaning. So basically, when we write up our report, we collect all the data, and data ambassadors like myself will generate what's called a wrap-up report, which we then hand over to the charity with all the documentation, all the nutrition labels associated with your visualization, and we hand it over to the charity. They then go away and try and action upon it. They still have contact with us and DataKind UK. However, if your results are not actionable or not understandable by being clear, we can't use it. So it's kind of a waste. So critical, clear visualizations and clear recommended insights are forward. Hopefully, you'll understand the visualization I'm about to show you, because otherwise, whoops. So answer one, who uses the Hub of Hope? So a group went away and tried to understand who is looking at the Hub of Hope, where are they coming from? In particular, this subgroup focused on university URLs. They identified this as a referral point within the journey, and through analysis, they identified over 40 different universities having the Hub of Hope linked on their student services page. And here you can see a visualization of number of views per 1,000 residents by district, with the dots representing individual UK universities. What was really interesting about this insight is that the Hub of Hope historically has not actually partnered with any universities. So this was university staff identifying a clear demand for their services and proactively putting it on their site. So from this, by showing this kind of insight and kind of data, the Hub of Hope have decided to have proactively reaching out to the current charities that have this data, but also the other hundreds of higher education institutes that don't have it, because by being on those sites, it's a very clear demand for these services and clear impact and low-hanging fruit that Chasing the Stigma can gather. Additionally, they expanded on this by identifying how journeys differ between university and non-university origination point. And high-level university students absolutely speed through this. They go through 25% the speed of non-university people. Is that tech literacy? Who knows? But really interesting. Step 2 of who uses the Hub of Hope. So this is a different subgroup, and here they decided to focus on how mental health concerns change over time. And here we've got a nice little Tableau dashboard. Ooh, laser pointer. Nice little Tableau dashboard that we've got, where we've got index of multiple deprivation, the ONS statistic, by geographical region. And what is so powerful about a dashboard, as we all know, it allows Chasing the Stigma to take this away over time, continue drill down, continue investigating, and say if you were to click on one of these geographical regions, not going to name the one I selected, you get this, which is how concerns change over time. And the idea behind this is it allows users to identify potential trends by geographical region to try and nip that in the bud over time by either reaching out to local councils or local services to say, this is a prevalent problem in your area that we see increasing over time. Please try and act on it. Please try and solve these situations. And yeah, lots of information. And I think this is a critical bit of analysis that was done on request from Hub of Hope. So this is a third subgroup within Group 1. As you can tell, we had a lot of volunteers this dive. It was really useful. This was focusing in particular on the referral sites from the NHS. So at one point in time, the NHS was the biggest point of referrals and causes of visits to the Hub of Hope. It was located on one website, and then over time, at some point, the bosses decided to move it onto a different site, which they deemed more suitable. And the charity noticed that was a very clear drop in visits, but had no way to quantify that. So one of our a series of divers decided to use time series forecasting to extrapolate the counterfactual of what would it be like if it was on its current site. And then we can assess the impact by comparing it to actuals. And as you can see, there's a drop. It's about 90% reduction in services, which is shocking and really upsetting, right? From this, Chasing the Stigma have gone back to the NHS to try and revert this change. And I think this kind of really epitomizes how simple data science techniques that we possess can have a really positive impact on society, right? Because most data scientists, time series forecasting, if you've got a little bit of experience, is generally in your bread and butter toolkit, right? So being able to do and impact such significant change is really powerful, and it allows us to empower the great work that charities do who partnership with DataKind UK. So that's group one. Group two, how are they using the Hub of Hope? So this was analyzing how days of the week potentially change number of page views, which we've got at the top, and also looking at how many services are open in this same time frame. So as you can see here at the top, generally there's a 2% drop between days of the week. Relatively standard, minor drop, negligible. However, the amount of services open and available during these time frames are stark. 1/4 of all services are open on Saturday and 1/5 on Sunday. Yet the demand is relatively similar. So this is indicating that people are not able to access the services that they need due to lack of availability. Imagine suffering from a mental health condition and having the courage to identify that you need help, reach out, go through the journey, enter your location, write down the services, only to find you have to wait 1, 2, or 3 days to access the help that you need. Really powerful and really upsetting state of mental health potentially in the country. So using this information, Chasing the Stigma are trying to reach out to current services that they've got on their books to try and get them to open over these time frames, but also just raise this as a national issue of mental health in the country. This is even more stark when you zoom in on a particular concern, depression. As you can see, it's not the lowest visits anymore, it's now the second highest on Sunday, and it's the point at which you have the least services open. Right, so this is a clear miss in service availability in the UK. Finally, this group looked into concern correlation to identify, because when you go onto the Hub of Hope, you can select up to 3 concerns at a time that you feel you suffer from, and it'll present services that will show general offerings. And the idea is the Hub of Hope wanted to see if there was any particular correlation between concerns, whether some appearing regularly or were some that they didn't expect. So the idea was to confirm existing expectations whilst also identifying anything that they might not expect. So here, schizophrenia and psychosis. Not a mental health expert, I would expect them to be correlated. Again, with hearing voices and psychosis. However, one thing that potentially stood out was this orange dot here, which is addiction and abuse. Again, I'm no mental health expert, but this is something quite interesting, especially how strongly correlated this is. So this is allowing Chasing the Stigma to identify potential mental health needs within the country and also alter their UI on their own site. So if you select abuse or if you select addiction in isolation, the idea is you will prioritize higher services that offer both to try and, even though they'll get solutions and support for the systems they're suffering from, it will also overlap potentials that they might be suffering from and just make sure we're covering all those bases. And then there is another element. The final element is how device usage potentially alters the services they're looking for. And the idea behind this is to see if we can identify any critical mindset change between device usage and how can we act on it. So here we can see at the top, depression is the most prevalently selected solution on the phone and far more significantly and far more regularly selected than the computer. Same with anxiety, same with advice and support. You could as inferred earlier, you could potentially say this is a difference in mindset. People with phones are more likely to be depressed. Maybe because they don't have a PC. However, what is more likely in an alternative hypothesis is this is simply a causation from the UI of the mobile phone in general. Because if you go onto the Hub of Hope desktop, you've got a nice wide coverage of your concerns, 4x4, and it's very easy to scroll down and cover all the solutions. You can identify which ones you want first. However, with the phone, you have to quickly scroll down over one line and very quickly select it. Generally, not the most user-friendly solution, and it potentially leads to why concerns high up in the alphabet appear earlier. So they've taken this as a note and are going to look at their UI on their mobile device in particular to see if they can change it. And then finally, how well is mental health, how well is the Hub of Hope addressing mental health needs of the country? So they took this away and came up with a wide variety of metrics and indices that they could consider addressing the mental health needs of the country. The one they generally stuck with is what we call the service index ratio. So the idea behind, the logic behind this is service divided by number of visits divided by number of services for each concern in each area. And the idea is if you've got a lot of visits for a concern, not a lot of services, you're not addressing the mental health needs of the country. Also on the flip side, few visits, lots of services, you're probably over-egging it, but you're covered. So here we've got a nice little Tableau dashboard where you can change what concern you're looking at, what dates you're looking for, and this is imposed, so we've got this showing here, and then this is imposed on indexes of multiple deprivation. Again, the ONS statistic. The idea behind that is identify if there's any correlation going from there. Very complex problem. The fact that they came out with anything, really amazing. So what I've shown here is just a fraction of the insight that we presented to DataKind UK. For context, the wrap-up report we ended up handing over with all the diagrams and all the visualizations was over 72 pages long. It was a lot for a weekend of work. It was absolutely insane, really powerful, and Chasing the Stigma have taken this as proof of value of using their data, so much so they've actually hired their own in-house data professionals, as well as liaising with local universities in Liverpool where they're based to try and bring in data internships to show that data is really powerful and enables them to accelerate and empower their organization. This is summed up great by Chris Clark from Chasing the Stigma, where hard work has provided us with priceless insight into what the community mental health provisions look like in the UK, how people are searching for and connecting with services, and crucially, gaps that policymakers and commissioners need to address. And that's my element of it, so I'm going to hand it back to Zara for the final wrap-up and how you can get involved.
Thank you, Robbie. That was amazing. Showcase of how DataKind UK can help charities with the wealth of data scientists and data analyst volunteers that they have in-house, and giving the charity a different perspective because of the number of different specialities that they have in-house. So. We come to the question of if and whether you can get involved, and if you would like to support data for social good. So yes, DataKind UK is always looking for partners to support them. If you're an organization that can offer the space for the weekend for data dive, or can support or sponsor DataKind UK, then please get in contact. Or if you're a data scientist, or data analyst, you have technical skills, data skills that you are keen to use for social good, then please get in contact. If you know Tableau, R, Python, SQL, if you're experienced, have experience using data, then please get in contact. Yes, if you have spent some time at university or in real world, in the wild doing data, then we would like to hear from you. And commitment, obviously it takes time to do these weekend dives, or if interested to do a long-term data core project, then yes, if you can volunteer some time up for DataKind, then that would be amazing. So yes, if you have any questions about DataKind UK or Chasing the Stigma or the mental health charity. What? Pardon?
Yeah, I'm just curious what happened with the decision about NHS website. Did they reverse the decision or pending?
So unfortunately, we don't, after we hand it over as a data ambassador, personally, we ourselves don't have access to that information. That would be something to take away to the people who are employed by DataKind UK who follow the actions. As volunteers, we just hand it over and leave it from there.
Were you able to check what kind of complaints people had on the Hub of Hope and compare them to national statistics to see if they were representative or not? Because we had a high prevalence of depression, but maybe you just have a high prevalence of depression in the UK.
That was data that we couldn't access at that point in time. It's like the high-level NHS stuff was we were very much focusing on usage within the Hub of Hope at the time, and there was so many questions that we could have asked. One additional one we wanted to bring in was rail suicides, for example, to see if there was correlations in that based on different areas. We just didn't have time to bring it in, unfortunately. But no, that would have been a great expansion. That would have been a great expansion.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. And how did you find the relationship between universities and the Hub of Hope? What prompted that?
So basically, when we were exploring the data beforehand, we identified, you can see the referral website, so the link that it's all located to, and we identified there were a lot of .ac universities within that corpus. So we were following the links through on the actual website, just clicking through, and identified several universities that had these links located on the website. So we were physically going through that journey on their side. And then we're like, okay, there's such a significant amount of universities. Can we extrapolate how many there are, where they're located, and if there's any difference between university versus non-university origination point?
Thank you.
Thank you. Really interesting presentation. I've interviewed a number of charities around DataKind's work, and it's been amazing what they've had to say about DataKind and the work that you do. I wondered if you could talk a bit about the experience for the data scientists on the weekend in the prep stage, because I got a lot of really positive feedback from my interviews, but it might be useful for you to explain what it's like on a data dive weekend.
Thank you. I can take that. Yeah. Yes. Yes, it's quite an amazing experience. It's quite a refreshing experience, I'd say, from day-to-day data work. So taking some time out in the weekend to work on a different project, coming together with a new group of data analysts, meeting new data analysts, data scientists, potentially working on a new technical project, using what we already know, or perhaps finding out what we don't know and learning how to do it, and all of this being done over a weekend and feeling really good at the end of the weekend that we've actually made such a contribution, as you've seen with Chasing the Stigma, the great result that it produced, and knowing that potentially you have really helped somebody with depression, or at least helping a charity organization who didn't know what amazing data they have and what they can do with data, and potentially them having gone back to NHS, having changed their website, their mobile desktop design, and maybe saving somebody's life at the end of just volunteering up 2 days of the weekend. Obviously, there were a large number of people working, for example, on Chasing the Stigma for 40 people, so it's being a small part of the whole project. So yes, I've been friends with DataKind, I'd say, volunteering with them since 2019. So it's been a really amazing experience. It's a great community to be part of. Yes, so I can highly recommend it, and it doesn't have to be volunteering up a year. If somebody does not know whether they would like it, whether they would like working in social sector or not, it can start with a really short project, a weekend data dive. Oh, thank you for your question. Thank you. Any other?
So firstly, thanks for the presentation. It's very interesting and very impressive, the work that you've managed to do over a weekend. So my question is a bit more technical. So it's related to the website metrics that you've collected. So were they Google Analytics metrics?
Yeah, so Hub of Hope used Google Analytics as their main source because I don't know if you know, social sector areas and non-profits have free credits with Google that they can use to leverage certain things, which is what they use to plot their heat maps, for example. However, it meant data extraction was really hard because that's a paid tier. And essentially fortunately, we had a really smart data engineer who was helping prepare, who essentially automated a series of jobs that pulled and extracted multiple times over the day to try and get every single visit that we could over that time frame.
Okay, so just a follow-up question. So I know that recently, so Google Analytics data is stored in UA, but now that's shifted over to GA4. So did you encounter any challenges with the transfer of data from UA to GA4 during your work?
No, we didn't. We didn't have any. I didn't face any troubles because I fortunately was I was dealt more with charity liaising. It was more the data engineer's role. They didn't say there was any issues, so I'm assuming it was relatively okay. And this project was done over a year ago, so if the changes are more recent.
Okay, thank you all for your questions. So we are over the time. So I thank Robbie and Zara for the wonderful presentation. Please give a round of applause to them.
Please, stay in touch with us. Follow us on Twitter. Visit our website. Hang out on Slack. And if you have any other questions, feel free to talk to us outside or grab some stash and stickers.
Yes, there are some stickers here. Yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.